After 5:30, so we're going to start. We'll note the absence of Gail Repka, Commissioner, and note that our two new commissioners are here. Jamie Brown is also absent this evening. So, the first order of business under new business is to elect a chairperson. So, I will take nominations.
I'll nominate Laura Kinnison.
Second it.
Any other nominations?
Move that we elect Laura as the chairperson by acclamation.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. All right. All right, now we have to elect a vice chairman. I'm going to lose my voice this evening. Nominations for vice chair of this commission. I'd like to nominate Mark Hinojosa.
Second that.
Any other nominations?
30.
All right, all in favor of Mark Hinojosa as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then last, we have what we call an executive committee member, and I will take nominations for that position.
I'd like to nominate Mike Rivera.
Second that.
Any other nominations for executive committee member? All in favor of Mike Rivera, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. Next, we have the minutes. Y'all received those by email. I don't know if y'all all had a chance to look at them. I had made a couple of corrections. She reissued the minutes for us. Do we have any corrections?
Move that they be accepted as presented tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Citizen communication, I don't believe we have any. Items from the commissioners. I'll start. First, again, welcome to Harold and Mark for joining the commission. I think we've got some very exciting things happening in the Parks and Recreation Department here in Victoria. And this is, as I said a little bit earlier when we were just chatting, this is a good time to be on Parks Commission. We got lots going on. Things are looking good. The Riverside Parks never looked better. Well, but it does get mowed. That's just it. And it looks really good when it is mowed. So I think that we're going to have another good commission here. So thank you for stepping up and joining us. Anyone else?
I'd like to say, from me, never been on this committee, and I go through the park. I like taking my kids out on Sunday, and I like that concession stand being open because it used to be open when I was a kid, and I kind of like that a lot, to ride through there and see different things going on like that. That looks really nice for the kids.
Yeah, that does add a lot to the park. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently he's pretty successful, from what I can understand. He's not struggling to keep it open, I don't think. So that's
Not that we've heard anything as
I
far
believe
as.
he's open weekly too,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
At lunchtimes?
Yeah, and I think he'll be shutting down during, once it gets a little cooler down. But I think he's doing real well. I know his kayak is, that little blue car is driving through there all the time with dropping kayaks off and stuff. So we're excited to have that service available to the community, and it's being used.
Exactly. Anything else from commissioners?
Let me bring up one item in Hopkins Park since I drive through there practically 7 mornings a week. And usually generates early in the morning, 6:30-ish or so, going on 7. Do the trash cans there, are there dogs, or there raccoons, or it's just the general public that seems to overturn? It seems like on a daily basis when I go by in the morning. I know one of the first things the guys, they have to go in and pick up the trash because it always seems like they're all tipped over.
We fight that throughout our entire park system. One of the
Okay.
things that we are building is it's a holder basically. A lot of times you'll have dogs and stuff where there's just a barrel out there they'll be able to knock down, and we've got a little. It's a pole with a slip on it that slips and holds that trash can down. But a lot of it is just people not throwing them away. It's a combination of both.
Okay.
But I'll take a look and see where we're at. We're building those out of spare parts and stuff, so we just build them as we go.
Yeah, I've
We're
heard
not-
you
so we
mention
don't
those
pay.
before, and I mean, they pay quick attention to it. I mean, once it's there, I see it's picked up within an hour or so, but it's just, I didn't know if it was people going through there for aluminum cans or whether it's just animals doing it, or it's just. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? All right, then let's move to departmental reports.
Thank you, ma'am. I've got a few. If you look in your packet, there is I guess on the third page, there our capital outlay for this next year's budget. I know that the last month we did brief you on these projects. As far as that, I wanted to give that formally to you this year as far as what projects we'll be working on. That will show the community center. We'll get started on that. I'm developing a timeline that I've submitted to the city manager's office, and once they've had time to review that, I hope to present that at our next meeting as far as what our timeline for starting those projects are. We're excited this year. We've got a lot of infrastructure going into the Parks and Rec Department. I think with the splash pad and the building and those things, we're putting $3.8 million into the parks infrastructure this year, and that's very exciting for us. So if y'all have any questions as far as those budget items that are there as far as the projects go.
One item there that has on the first section, Disc Gold, Fox Bend, is that just the name of a course that you're
It
adding?
should say disc golf. It's just a typo.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll have to get on my finance department. They did it, not no. No questions? Okay. Like I said, I'll keep you updated on those. Just a couple of updates on some of the parks or projects that we do have going on. We just have submitted the contract for the turf at Riverside Stadium. That project should be starting. They've got the contract, and they will probably be out there as early as next week to start moving dirt and start getting that project going. And so I look for it to go very fast. They say 45 to 50 days. We've given them 90, but we will be opened up by January when UHV starts the season off. I think in late January is their first game. But we're really excited about that project. I think it's going to bring a lot of games to that. It's going to raise the profile of that gorgeous stadium, and so we're really excited about that project.
Colby,
Yes, sir.
have we looked into the future, maybe turf, the whole field, just not just the infield?
We looked at that when we originally thought about, is this a possibility? The difference between the infield and the outfield is about $1 million added to do the outfield, because the entire project would have cost $1.3 million to do the entire stadium, and we were able to go to $350 with just the the infield, and just felt like that was the only really affordable way right now.
Well, I'm talking about for next year, maybe.
I don't believe it's in the plans as of yet. That doesn't mean that it couldn't be, but I don't foresee it being something that I'm going to budget into next year. I think we've got some other areas. We have to be very careful. That is money that is drawn from hotel motel,
Right.
and so there's a budget for them. They have long range planning as well, and we have to get into that cycle, and we need to see what this does. If this starts to generate a lot more hotels than what we're thinking on, then it could be a possibility. But I would not say that it's going to be in next year's budget.
But there's, if we do have plans, I mean, we can do it, right? If the
Oh yeah,
funds are available?
you could expand it.
Okay.
Yes, if someone come in and said, "Hey, I want to donate the outfield," then we could do it real quick.
Okay, good.
And so it wouldn't be.
Good.
It's not by putting the infield turf in. It's not limiting that you could go on to the outfield.
Yeah, well, that was my question.
Right.
If there was limitation there that by putting the infield, you wouldn't have possibility to put in the outfield, but if funds are available, it can be done, right?
Yes, it can. We've also started the request for qualifications for the community center project, which you'll see on that list. That will go out within the next month as far as getting an architect to start drawing that plan up. We do have some time blocked off for the community center. We're going to try to push this project fairly quickly. The architectural services shouldn't take very long because we're doing it very similar to what we did with the annex. As far as the flooring and different things of that nature, so it should go fairly quickly, but I'll keep you updated as that project goes. I don't have an exact timeline on when that's going to start, but we are going out for trying to get architectural services within the next month. The other one, the splash pad. Splash pad project has it had a little bump, but we got over that bump, and so I have a meeting next Thursday, a pre-construction meeting with the vendor and the contractor that will be working on that. And so that project, although we hit a bump, it still looks like it's going to be on time, and will be open for business by next summer. I think they've got us slotted in the late November, December timeframe to have construction going on, and should be able to be done by March without any weather delays. But we're giving it till June just in case we do have some weather problems or that nature. We will be trying to add in the budget that is not in this capital outlay. It's through a grant from the community block grant. We do have another playground slated for Community Center Park that will tie these two into this project. So the current playground that's over by the tennis courts will be removed, and we'll put something in that ties real closely to the splash pad. And so when it's completed, it should look like one big project. Does that make sense? Okay. The only other thing I've really got is our Boot Fest tournament this past weekend. We had 31 teams. 29 of those teams were from out of town. This was a tournament that we worked with IFA and VTD, which is an association that we've gone through for girls fast pitch. We signed a contract with them to host 8 softball tournaments in our complex this current year, and so this was their first one. It was done in a real quick time frame as far as putting up, so the 31 teams was very exciting. Now they were girls high school teams as far as 16 and up, and so that it limited the amount of kids, but it was a college showcase tournament where some college coaches came down and were looking at these girls, and so we were really excited about having that. The lady that we contracted with feels that we could get this team up to into the 50s or 60s next year, and so we're looking forward to that one.
You have any idea what kind of motel rooms that generated?
We're still running all the numbers. I've got what our coaches turned in. We were at 340, but we still have our CVV department has some going out and finding how many actually blocked rooms. That's just what my coaches said. So we're developing how that is, and the more of these tournaments that we get, the better idea I'll be able to say, okay, for every girls fast pitch team, you're going to generate 10 hotel rooms or 11 hotel rooms and get a much better idea of what that number is. But just from the cards the coaches told into us, we were at 340.
That's good.
We do have at the end of the month, October 31st and November 1st, we have the IFA Fall State Championships here in Victoria. We held that last year. We look for that tournament to be in the 50s as far as teams. I think right now we're sitting at 21 or 22 girls fast pitch teams already registered for it. But that number,
Same age division.
now that age division will be all the way from 8-year-olds all the way up to high school teams, and so that'll be a wider range of teams that will come in for the state championships. But a lot of those teams have to use last weekend and this weekend to see if they're going to make it or be able to enter it. But that ought to be 40 to 50 teams easily.
And that's at the end of the month?
Yes, Halloween and November 1st. So. And that is all I've got as far as the director's report. Other than that, we're just getting our budget. We're doing a lot of the beginning of the year's things, getting picnic tables and barbecue pits and stuff to that on order, developing what plans we'll be doing for the winter projects. We'll be meeting with our staff this month to to kind of lay out what we're going to be doing as far as, any work along the river or things of that nature is when we'll really start to be able to refocus back on the, clearing out of Grover's Bend and clearing out of Fox's Bend and those types of projects.
Okay. All right. Well, that moves us to committee reports and actions and our work session, which is Dog Park Committee assignments. I think we have a meeting a week from Wednesday.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering if we need to have that meeting happen before we ask folks to commit to a committee, perhaps?
I think you can. I've got as you know, the committee has received the initial budget as far as what the landscape architect brought back. I have done some trimming on that budget. I'm going to present that on next Wednesday. I put this on the agenda to see if you wanted to replace Ash on that committee, if there was someone else that wanted to work on that be on that committee, and then as well as I would recommend to the board, to the commission, that we get a fundraising committee started or find out who may be interested so that process can get going without waiting another meeting, because we know we don't meet in December.
Right.
And so thought that might be something that group could get together and not wait till the beginning of January for that committee to develop and brainstorm and maybe use November and part of December just to okay, where are we going to be? What are we going to do? That sort of thing. That's just a recommendation. It doesn't mean that it has to. That's just what I'd recommend to you.
No, that makes sense. My question is this. I know that I had asked Ash at the last meeting that we had of that committee, that fundraising committee, or of that little group that was meeting, Jamie, Gail, myself, and Ash, and he said he would not mind staying on there. Is there any reason why he could not stay on there? And if somebody wants to step up to that committee, I think they should be encouraged to, and I will step back. I'm kind of looking to lighten my plate just a little bit. I will stay on, but if someone else wants to join that committee, I will give them my spot if Ash can stay. He indicated he wanted to, but I've not talked to him recently either.
There are no rules as far as that committee being entirely of this commission, and so yes, he can. It was just an opportunity that I felt that if y'all wanted to replace there. Now, I'd be very, I know the committee had talked about using outside people to help and expanding that committee. I would make sure that we're aware of that if you get too many chiefs and not enough Indians type of deal. But I brought that up. That's really for this commission to decide what y'all want to do as far as the committees. That's not something I can assign.
Sure. Is there anyone who would like to be on that committee?
Ms. Kennis, I will say that you can only replace one, or you can only have four. You go
Right.
to five, then it becomes a quorum. So
That's
there can only be
right.
four.
We have to keep it at 4. That's why I said I would step back and let someone have my spot if Ash wanted to stay.
Now,
But
you could remain with Ash on that committee and still replace two because
That's
he is no
right.
longer a committee member,
That's
so he
right.
would not be
That's-
a
you're right.
okay.
Okay, so first off, does anyone have any questions about this committee that I'm trying to explain to you and not doing a very good job of? What we've been doing is we've had one chance now to look at the architect's rendering of what our dog park could look like with various amenities on it. As Colby said, he's kind of tweaked it a little bit, trimmed off some stuff, and because of course, he threw everything in, including the kitchen sink, and now we're kind of sorting it out. But we're looking at, we've got some funding that has been promised to us. We've got to also raise some money, and that's what this committee is about, is how we're going to raise this money and get the ball rolling on this. So it's an extra meeting a month, usually at noon at the Parks office. Unless we get to yakking and asking too many questions, we're in and out in an hour. We need folks to step up and help with those fundraising efforts. We've done a street dance. We did the Bark for a Park event and raised some money. We're not just, talking about those kind of things. Maybe like a capital campaign, we've kind of kicked that around a little bit, getting someone in the community to be the name on that capital campaign, and see if we can get some large donors involved that way. So that's what we're looking at. Anybody think they might be interested in joining that committee? All right, well, that answers the question.
All right, thank you.
Okay. We'll leave it like it is then and meet next Wednesday. Okay. That's all I have then.
All right.
I guess we will bring back more information for you in January. What?
Can I ask a
Oh,
question
sure,
about that?
Sure.
Just in terms of what the initial, I hadn't heard what the initial work that the architect did. What did he come up with? What was his number? What did it look like? What did that, or is that what you're going to present?
Yeah, I will present that. I presented that to the committee to take a look at. Now that was, like Ms. Kennison said, that was everything. That was, a real completely done. That wasn't. Now he did break that down into phases that could be done. And so what I did is I went back through there and started trimming out what I thought, okay, what is the bare base price of that? And so what I'd like to be able to do is bring that to the committee. They haven't seen that document yet. Let them look at that, see if they're, Colby, yes, we like what you're saying here, we don't like what you're saying, and then bring that to the commission at our next meeting as far as from a committee report, here's what we're looking at as far as price-wise and design.
Just in general, what did he come up? What was his big number?
The total big number was over 400,000, but that was not,
I don't remember exactly.
yeah, it was over, but that was for,
It was a Cadillac deal.
That was the Cadillac.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
wasn't
Right.
a Chevrolet. That was a Cadillac. So,
Well, I just didn't.
Sure.
I'd not ever heard what he came back with.
Well, and we had been kind of waiting to see what he was going to propose, and that's why we hadn't really brought anything to the commission yet. Plus, we didn't have that meeting that 1 month, and so that put a lag in getting that information to y'all. But yeah, there's places that Colby can we don't need to add in 6 more trees or whatever. We'll go with what we have and look at trees later or something. So he included everything. But any other questions about it?
Just for those that are watching, I think we've talked about it. We got a challenge grant, right? So we've got a named donor that will give us $150,000, and we're trying to match that. Is that still the goal? Or?
the match is up to $150,000. Now that is not. I don't believe that all of the documents have been signed on that. As far as I don't know if that's John. That has not all been signed on that. So 100% say that can happen right now. I wouldn't say that, but we believe that we have a beneficiary that's going to match what we can create. But that's not. There's no ink on the paper per se.
Okay.
Any other questions on it? Anyone? Okay. Anybody have anything else? Then I'm going to say this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You keep that.